So, Mark, did you see that lady celebrating on her recent flights, brought a bottle of champagne and popped it like she was at the club? How did they let her get this on the plane? And then what? I mean, what world is this a good idea?
I mean, TSA only stops you from bringing in your shampoo. They don't. But no, I mean, maybe she got it from like the duty free shop or something and just ripped open her bag. But yeah, it's crazy that she got it on. And then to think at 30,000 feet that there's no pressure and you can just open it. But I don't think a lot of people think about this, like when they get served champagne, if you're in first class or business class, like that you're not seeing this happen in the back.
Can you imagine sitting in the back of the plane and hearing that happen without seeing it? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people were afraid.
Yeah, especially if you're on a Boeing plane, you just never know.
So speaking of Boeing planes, a recent Air India flight had to return back to base. It was flying from Chicago to Delhi, I believe, and a few hours into the flight, all of the toilets filled up and they stopped working, so they had to return to Chicago. And then when they dug out what was in the toilets, I mean, there was blankets, all kinds of crazy stuff that people had put in there. Don't do that.
I don't understand. Like, why would you put a blanket down? Why would you take a blanket into the bathroom? That's disgusting on its own. But then why would you like try to flush it? I get like some things that people don't think about, like napkins or something like that. And you're just like, oh, like I don't know. But a blanket makes absolutely no sense.
I just think Boeing needs to up the quality of their sewage systems. There you go. So we can just dump everything there. I once had a flight, I flew down to Paraguay and we were flying back to Miami and they didn't service the plane, the toilets in Paraguay for some reason. And we had to make an emergency landing in Aruba so that they could clean the toilets because they were overflowing. So yeah, this does happen, although that wasn't because anybody stuffed anything in. But that's how I got to Aruba. Should I count it as a country? I don't know, but there you go.
Nah, if you never leave the airport, it doesn't count.
Didn't even leave the airplane.
Yeah, definitely doesn't count. My son wants to, every time we have a layover, he's like, this counts, right, as a state? I'm like, no, man, it doesn't. What if I go outside and come back? No, you gotta like do something, I guess. I don't know, but it's always different when you're flying to a country that maybe isn't used to Western toilets and things like that. You know, a lot of countries don't have the type of toilets we have, but yet all airplanes seem to have the toilets we have. So I'm sure they walk in there, they're not really sure what to do. I think we've had stories where people tried to stand on the toilet and stuff because they weren't sure how it functioned and everything. So maybe this is just they're thinking it's a garbage can at some point. I don't know.
Well, speaking of garbage, let's talk Southwest. Garbage, poop, everything you want to say. Southwest is all of it. We talked last week about some of their changes, specifically on the redemption side. That was just the beginning. In fact, they were kind of burying the lead. It's sort of weird how they released that first and then a couple days later they dropped the hammer and Southwest is not Southwest any longer.
Yeah, and I love how they like kept, Want to Get Away is going to earn 2 points per dollar. And they even had like Want to Get Away in this announcement. Even though Want to Get Away is going away, it's going to be basic economy. I think that's the biggest change of all this. I know people are upset about no free bags and other things like now that credits expire if you have a cancellation, stuff like that. But I think going to basic economy and what you lose versus what Want to Get Away was, and it's just such a weird decision. You know, all their media, everything they've ever done, commercials, one has Want to Get Away in it and bags fly free. And they just were like, you know what, let's trash all that.
You call it the Spirit Airlines in the notes, but basic economy really rough. 6-month credit expiration if you cancel those, worse earnings. And then they really buried the lead. If you read the press release, they've had a revenue-based program where the redemption is based on the ticket price. And so your points are worth a fairly set value. And now it's going to be completely off the end. If it's high demand, they're just going to make your points worth less as well. So they got us from every single angle here.
I called it American Spirit. Thank you very much. Because it's basically the worst of the big three and the worst of the low cost carriers coming out with nothing of value. They have nothing that differentiates themselves when that was what the whole airline was built on, being different. It's just, it doesn't make a lot of sense long term. But, I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up making them more money. People are stuck in their ways. They don't usually change things. And this might bring some people in that didn't like the boarding process before. And if you're going to pay for bags everywhere else, what does it matter if you pay for it on Southwest?
Here's what you said in your article for all of the negatives. Uncompetitive fares at non-focus cities, worst earning rate in the industry for paid flights, bottom of the industry for affordable flight flexibility, toward the bottom of the market in value of loyalty points, bottom of the industry in elite status perks, worst technology in the industry, lack of airline partners. They're not part of an alliance, so they don't have the benefit of those other carriers, limited routing releases. They don't release their schedule for the route, and then limited international reach, including the fact that they still can't charge in Canadian dollars. So yeah, there you go.
I had to throw that in there. Yeah, and their technology is terrible. I wish they would have spent time and money focusing on that, like streamlining things, saving money that way. This is the first time they've ever lost money. It just seems like a knee-jerk reaction. Yeah, this might work in the short term, but are you going to have loyalty in the long term, or is it just going to be all based on fare, which is going to drive your prices down?
So moving on, Hyatt Hotels, Mark. One of the better things about Hyatt compared to other brands over the years has been their elite program with benefits like breakfast. They tend to honor it in the way it's meant to be. We see a lot more games being played with programs like Marriott, but I guess Hyatt is really struggling lately. There's been a lot of stories about hotels not following the program. And the latest is the Hyatt Centric in Waikiki. They haven't had an on-site restaurant, I guess, since 2020. And so there is an offsite restaurant that they have a relationship with, but they're not giving Globalist free breakfast. They were giving 1,000 points, and now they're giving nothing. They're just saying you get nothing. And Hyatt went back and changed the terms to allow this. This is a bad thing, bad for the future of the program.
Yeah, you were allowed to charge it back to your room at this restaurant, even though it wasn't technically a part of the hotel, which makes it seem like it is a part of the hotel, or at least they had some type of partnership. And we see other hotels that have, like the Rio in Vegas. They don't own the restaurant where the free breakfast is. It's not owned by Hyatt, but they work with them to provide the free breakfast there. So they could have done that. And then, 1,000 points is worth, $15, $20. And a family of four is probably spending $100 plus at most places for breakfast. So it wasn't even like a good value. And then you take that, like, how cheap can you be? It should have been at least like 2,500 points, and that would have been fine. At least you're giving something, and you're like, haha, we're still coming out ahead. But this is just crazy. And, hotels are always going to push the envelope in any program. It's just sad to see that Hyatt doesn't have any type of force to come back and, boot them out of the company. Do that a couple times and people might stand up and be like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't try these things.
Well, the goal of Hyatt is to grow, and that's what they're trying to do. And so this is what happens when you want to get all kinds of different owners. The Centric brand launched, 5, 6, 7 years ago as an effort to create a lower end full service brand that could be for conversions, could be kind of a little bit of everything. And they don't have a ton of standards. Gary wasn't able to get confirmation from Hyatt that Centrics are supposed to have a restaurant. And that means they're they're a full service brand, meaning they're supposed to have a restaurant. That's been what the case is. So I don't know what Hyatt's doing there. That brand Centric is crazy because the Hyatt Centric Ginza, one of my favorite Hyatt hotels in the entire world, luxury, beautiful, goes for like $700 a night. And then you stay at some Hyatt Centrics and they're really bad conversions of other properties. So that brand is really all over the place.
Yeah, I have never stayed in one. I think that's one of the brand loyalty things I still need to hit. And I have my eye on the one in Chicago now because it's one of the few Cat 4s still in Chicago, which is crazy to say because Hyatt's based out of Chicago and they've just nuked that whole area. This is what's annoying. Like, Hyatt's always been built on, we know what to expect when we go to a place. And, we've seen a couple of these, especially in the Centric brand. There's another one that he talks about that, made all their suites not standard suites so they don't have to give upgrades. It's annoying. And this would have been simple. Like, give them a sack breakfast or something, like some muffins. I don't know. You can come up with things. Give them a gift card to a Starbucks or to that restaurant. Be like, hey, here's a gift card towards this restaurant or whatever. They could have made it work where people wouldn't have been fully happy, but at least they wouldn't feel like they've been getting ripped off.
And this is Waikiki. This is a vacation destination where people bring their families after they do business travel and they earn their status. This is where you want to use it. Now, thankfully, there is the Hyatt Regency there, other stuff. But yeah, do better Hyatt Centric and do better Hyatt. Let's hold these people. I know you want to grow, but keep the benefits of the program the way they were. That's why we all love your program so much. But let's move on to some credit card news. And the Marriott Bonvoy cards, specifically the Brilliant and the Bevy, have increased offers. $155,000 for the Bevy after $5,000 in purchases. The Brilliant, $185,000 Marriott Bonvoy points after $6,000 in purchases. Which of these cards is your favorite? I have the Bonvoy Brilliant. It gives me the status. I could play the coupon game to kind of offset a lot of my fee. You get a free 85K cert every year. You get platinum status, which does help, especially internationally. But I'm always on the edge of whether that card is worth it or not.
Neither for me. I mean, I think they're both worthwhile with this offer to get in the first year if you're over 524. 155,000 points for 5,000 spends, not terrible. And then you're towards the 15K and earn a free night cert with the bevy card. So you could put another 10,000 on it if you wanted to. The Brilliant, when they changed it to like a monthly credit for dining and stuff, it seemed more difficult to use. It used to be a property credit, and people could use that on room stays or chargebacks and stuff. And you could use it in one lump sum. I hate anything that requires me to do it every month because I forget sometimes. So that, and that's what they're hoping for, the breakage. So it's a tough card to keep long term. If you're going for a premium card for lounge access and stuff, there's definitely better options out there. But this 185K, it's 90K more than the standard offer. Some people will want to wait for the 5 free night certs at 50,000 points a piece that comes around sometimes. I think the 185K is actually better for most people because you have to hit that 50K at each hotel. You have to have 5 nights and they expire after a year, and people always struggle to use them or are last minute booking just random crap to burn them. They didn't book that 40,000 point hotel because they really wanted to book the 50 or 60 and top it off. And it never works out. So I think these are as good as you're going to get if you were interested in either card.
So moving over to US Bank, they launched their Smartly Visa credit card. This was the card that was giving 4% cash back. You had to deposit 100,000 in the bank with US Bank. And they should have talked to us, Mark, because we could have told them that launching a 4% cashback card wasn't going to be a good idea. Word is that they've already stopped applications in branch and that the card may be going away altogether. Way too generous, I would say.
Yeah, especially with what's it require? $100,000 to get to that level that you have to, which is not a small amount of money, but it's not enough money to make up the difference, sitting in there. If somebody's hammering out 4%, depending on where you're swiping it, you might only be getting 2 to 3% back. So you're losing. I mean, there are places, I believe, that you'll get over 4%, depending on the category. That's why you get more for dining or for office stores. You get more earning because they get a higher swipe fee. But a lot of the spend is probably in areas that you're losing money each time. And this just goes to show, bankers don't think about things. Marketing people don't think about things. They roll out crappy offers thinking they're great, or they roll out things that are way too good and don't realize. I don't know why they don't focus group people that are really into this stuff. It would save them so much time and money.
Well, also, you're making people deposit $100,000, meaning that they're probably not the kind of people that are going to pay interest. And a significant portion of their profits comes off of interest and fees. And you would expect that customer wouldn't be paying any of that. So you're giving them a huge return. Like you say, you're probably not even making it back in interchange fees, probably not paying or receiving interest on it. So yeah, it's going to change. But I mean, great try, US Bank. They were also telling people, stop putting business expenses on this. This is a personal card. Yeah, it's nice for a bank to tell you that, but what are they going to do about it other than shut you down if they think you do too much?
Know? How do you know? How do you know what's personal, what's business? You're guessing?
Honor system.
Yeah.
So moving on, I hear the Melio offer is still available, Mark, and that is a partner of the program. We work with them, have an affiliate connection, and a really good offer for everybody.
Yeah, this one is not available publicly. We've talked about it a couple times. It's just through certain affiliates, which we are lucky enough to have a link. And you get a $200 cash back if you're a new member. You sign up and you do a $2,000 payment. You can do this on your credit card. Normally, there's a 2.9% fee whenever you're making payments, but it's good for paying things that don't accept credit cards. They'll mail out a check for you, or if you have their banking info, they'll do an ACH transfer. So that fee, 3%, let's call it 3% on $2,000 is $60, but you're getting the $200 bonus. So you get to put a little bit of money in your pocket, or you could just blow it out and do a big payment and eat up the whole $200 to offset your fees, get some free credit card spend that you wouldn't normally have. It's a business-to-business platform, so you have to be a small business owner, and the payment has to be to another business for services rendered to you. If you do have that, that's a lot of people out there listening. If you do sign up, we get a kickback for that, so we do appreciate the support. It helps us out with the channel and the time we put into this, and you're getting a good offer and a new way to earn points that you normally couldn't.
It isn't every day, Mark, that a debit card launches, a new debit card for a hotel program for anything. Back in the day, it used to be debit cards for all kinds of stuff. Then Congress passed legislation limiting fees, and so that kind of killed a lot of the debit rewards programs out there. But Wyndham has a new one, and you can earn 1x points on Wyndham stays, gas and groceries, and then a half point on everything else. They also have like an annual spend bonus, so you can earn up to 7,500 points a year, depending on how much you spend with the debit card. This is interesting. Wyndham points are valuable. I mean, depending on what you're looking at, Yeah, what do you think about this? I haven't used debit cards for rewards in a long time, but I guess if you had a lot of extra spend, this could make sense, especially in the 1X categories, but I think overall, probably not.
It's useful. The potential is for people that either can't get credit or are the Dave Ramseys of the world that hate credit. I think it'll be popular with them. For us in our realm, it's not the most useful thing, but there are times that you can't use a credit card, but they take debit card. Sometimes school tuition, taxes, they'll charge you a fee to use your credit card. And if you're not earning a bonus of some sort, it might make more sense to pay it with a debit card that earns some rewards, and that you don't have that big fee anymore. You have like a flat fee. You do have to keep $2,500 in this account, otherwise it's $6 a month, which is kind of a negative, but not too big of a deal. Wyndham points are worth 1 to 1.5 cents depending on how you use them. If you do your spend perfectly, you could earn a full point per dollar if you do it right at the $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 mark. You want to hit that, but not go over those levels, because that's when you get those bonus points. But in my article, I say there's a better option out there if this is for you, and that's to Discover Debit. You get 1% back on $3,000 in spend every month. There's no fees, there's no minimum, and you can load it at Walmart, nice and easy, and offers you some other things. But that doesn't have all these, you don't have to track things, you don't have to worry about it. You just put all your spend on it that you can't put on a credit card, you get the 1% back. So I'm hopeful it's successful, so that like Hyatt comes out with a card, maybe Delta comes out with a card. We start to see people get more into the debit cards and offering rewards like they used to.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully for that reason, and I would take cash back over Wyndham points as well. So, Wyndham, but yeah, they're putting their thing out there. Hopefully it works out. There's also pay over time is back. 20,000 point offers are being sent out for people. If you have an American Express, what they used to call a charge card, you can activate pay over time. This is a targeted promotion, so they may email it to you. You may see it in your Amex offers saying activate pay over time. It doesn't cost anything. You're not agreeing to interest as long as you pay off your balance. And this time they're offering 20,000 points. This is something both of us have done many, many, many times.
Be careful, because I just got an email yesterday that said pay over time. I get excited every time you open it. If it doesn't say anything about points, then they're just trying to get you to turn it on without having points. But like Sean said, you just turn it on. You don't have to actually use it. You get the points if you are targeted for this offer. And then make sure to go into your account and check all your charge cards, or whatever they want them called now. But go into your account. You can do in the account management, and you can go to the pay overtime settings. Make sure it's turned off. Sometimes it's automatically turned on, or maybe you didn't pay attention when you're setting up the card and switch that. So you want it off to get these offers. And then even after you get the bonus points, you can go in there a couple months later and turn it off if you want.
And now for some cool S. I hope your parents are watching, Mark. The hack for filling up a ice chest at the ice machine at a hotel. Admittedly, I had never thought of this, and it was pretty cool, and it works really well.
Yeah, you just got to make sure you buy a big enough case of whatever beverage is your choice, a 12-pack, 18-pack, whatever. But they rip out both ends, so it becomes a funnel. You can, instead of doing like where you fill up the bucket, pour it in, if you're trying to fill up a whole ice chest, it could take a while. So this, you just hold down the button, goes through the cardboard into the thing. Yeah, it's perfect. My parents are saved. Instead of at the Conrad, where they didn't have ice machines, so they would bring you little bags of ice like that you would get, that are in your bucket in your room. They would bring up like those types of bags of ice, and they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna need more than that.
We're gonna need like 50 of those.
Yeah, they're like, do you want me to bring you 5? They're like, I guess, yeah, that would work.
Yeah, let us know what your favorite hotel hack, like something simple like that. Everybody has so many of those, but this one is one, admittedly, I had never seen. It's very simple and cool. And all of us have at some point been at an ice machine trying to fill something up, and it's just taking way too long. And yeah, so there you go. So let us know what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Southwest, oh, we all love to hate on Southwest these days. The Wyndham debit card, those Marriott card offers. Let us know what you think in the comments. We do 2 shows a week. We had our full podcast on Monday, this show on Wednesdays. Subscribe, do all that good stuff. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you next time.
Have a good week, everybody.